A man is crying. He is 30 years old, he is behind the wheel of a moving truck, and in a few seconds he will be dead. His wife is in the passenger seat. A moment ago she was singing. She thought this was the best day they had had in years. She woke up in a hospital bed. He never woke up at all. 9 years later, she still comes back to the apartment they left. She stands at a door with a stranger's name on it, and she waits. Because in that last instant she saw his face, and she has never once been able to decide what it meant. Did Ida steer that truck into the wall on purpose? To understand her, you have to go back to a high school choir competition. The kind of thing nobody wanted to be part of. Ida Kuramoto was, by his own reckoning, a completely ordinary guy. He didn't stand out, but he wasn't ignored either. And Sana was an ordinary girl. That, she thought, was the whole story of the two of them. Maybe, she figured, people who just coast along are the ones who end up together. Their class came dead last in the competition, which surprised absolutely no one. On the walk home, the boys were never into it anyway, Ida said, and Sana agreed completely. At least, she said, they were finally free from after-school practice. Singing in a choir in high school. Honestly, who takes that seriously? But Ida had stopped walking, and when she turned around, he was crying. Really crying in the street in his school uniform, and all he could get out was that he hated it. He hated losing. Then he told her something she had never heard in 3 years of knowing him. When he was little, his parents had taken him to a choir concert, and he never got over it. He had loved singing ever since. And for weeks before that competition, he had been practicing alone at home every single day and told absolutely no one. He wiped his face, embarrassed. Crying over something like this, he said, "What a wreck." And Sana, who had known none of it, looked at him and said, "I don't think that at all." After graduating, they moved into a small apartment in Tokyo together. Room 102. 2 names on the door. He took a job at a convenience store, she took one at a cafe, and even though they were only coasting, they got by. Neither of them went to college. There was nothing she wanted to study, and she couldn't picture herself as a working adult. And for a while, it was genuinely good. They finally had the free time they never had as students. Every day they hung out with the friends who had gone off to university. Summers were barbecues and fireworks, winters were hot pot. They had fun. They really were so young. Then one day, after years of living exactly like that, at the cafe where she worked, Sana heard the high schoolers talking about her through the staff room door. How long is she going to stay here? She's what, 24? So old. I never want to be an old part-timer. She stood there and she didn't open the door. Because she already knew. Lazy, wayward, half-hearted. The friends who went to college had gotten real jobs, and at some point they lost touch. Before she knew it, the youth she was still clinging to had faded away. Or maybe, she thought, they never had it in the first place. Our immaturity blinded us from seeing what kind of people we were. The year they turned 26, Ida was out of the house more and more. He came home late, awkwardly making up lame excuses. He'd met an old junior high friend, he said, and she thought, what friends do we even have left to see? An affair. But she didn't have the guts to confront him directly. Even though he was cheating, she was afraid of breaking up with him. She was scared of being alone. She would lie there wondering who the woman was, whether she was younger than her. Then that winter, Ida sat her down with a serious look on his face. "Sana," he said, "I have something to say," and she held her breath and waited for his next words. "The truth is, I got a job. For a long time," he said, "I haven't been able to believe that just coasting through life was okay. I wanted to change and accomplish something. I've been job hunting for a while." And when she asked why he never said anything, he told her he made her wait because he wanted to be able to say it with some pride. "Let's get married." Sana, who had spent an entire year quietly building his betrayal out of nothing at all, just stared at him. They entered their names into the family registry. And even though they were moving soon, they rewrote the nameplate. Why, she thought, why didn't I trust him before? And here is the thing she understood only too late. Go back to that boy crying in the street over a choir competition who had practiced in secret for weeks and told nobody. That was never an ordinary guy. That was someone who tries as hard as he possibly can where no one can see him and who is ashamed of being caught trying. He did it at 17 with a song. He did it at 27 with his whole life. And both times, Sana was the only person on Earth who found out. When it was almost time to move, she casually looked up the company Eita was going to work for. 80 hours of overtime is normal here. Time cards punched automatically at quitting time. Some guy made a mistake and had to grovel at morning assembly, called into work on holidays. Can't call in sick or you'll be yelled at. Eita, she said. This. He read it and then he just smiled. Oh well, I'm 27 with no work history. I should be thankful they let me in at all. To fight off the anxiety, she did her best to act cheerful. In March 2013, they left the apartment they had lived in for 8 years. And in the truck, she put on a song. My ballad. It's what they sang in their high school choir competition. She had forgotten what it was, she said, but she looked it up and found it. You remember it. Eita, you practiced by yourself without telling anyone, didn't you? Is that what happened? You were so cool back then, Eita. You haven't changed since then. Listening to this song again, it's really great. It's full of hope. Our lives were going to get better from then on. That was her feeling. She was singing the anthem of the one time he ever tried his hardest and lost, to a man driving toward a job that would swallow him whole, and telling him with a smile that he hadn't changed at all. She meant every word of it as a kindness. When she came to, she was lying in a hospital bed. Eita had died at the scene. Her left leg never fully recovered. She came home in a wheelchair to a photograph on the dresser and 2 candles in front of it. And she still doesn't understand. On that day, did Eita steer into that wall on purpose? Because before they crashed, she saw, just for an instant, his face, and Eita had the same crying face that he did that one time. 9 years on, she still goes back to that apartment. Room 102, but the nameplate reads Yurikawa now. Another family, another life. No sign that the two of them were ever there at all. And even now she stands at that door and she waits for him. So, did he do it on purpose? Here is the case that he did. He was 30 years old, driving toward a company he knew for a fact would grind him into nothing, because his own wife had printed out the proof and shown him. He had spent his entire adult life half trying, and he had exactly one honest attempt left in him. And the woman he loved had just played him the song of the single time he tried his hardest and lost, and told him, smiling, that he hadn't changed at all. She meant it as the kindest thing she knew how to say. Sit for a moment with how it might have landed, and here is the case that he didn't. It was only ever a face. The same face of a man who simply hates to lose, realizing in the last half second that he is losing again.